Happening right now at 6, the verdict is in for the Floyd Brown case. 13 Investigates William Ingalls has details live from the courthouse. Plus, a housing project proposal is going forward. A closer look at the concerns from neighbors and nearby school districts. And a new demolition plan now underway for one building in Rockford that caught fire 2 years ago. Details coming from city leaders tonight.
From 13 WREX, your weather authority. This is 13 News at 6.
We begin tonight with a 3-year quest for justice reaching its end today in a guilty verdict for Floyd Brown. A jury ruled he murdered Deputy Jacob Keltner in March of 2019. 13 Investigates William Ingalls has followed this case since the very beginning, and he's live for us right now at the courthouse to break down the one count the jury did not find Brown guilty of. William.
Brittany, there was an audible gasp in the overfloor courtroom that I was in, which contained much of Deputy Jacob Keltner's family and friends, when the jury's first part of their verdict was that Floyd Brown would be not guilty of first-degree murder, instead opting for a second-degree murder charge. Let's break down exactly why they might have made that decision. It all came down to whether or not Brown had a premeditated plan to kill Deputy Jacob Keltner or not. The defense pounded the table for days that Brown could not have premeditated the murder of someone he had never met. At the end of the verdict, though, Brown is guilty on all 8 charges. That includes a murder of a federal officer charge, attempted murder of a federal officer, 2 forcible assault charges, and 2 gun possession charges. Now, we don't know the exact details on how long Brown will spend in prison based on those charges. That'll be determined at a later sentencing date. Now, I'm going to schedule to talk to the prosecution here in just a few minutes about what they thought of the verdict, whether they agreed with that verdict or not based on the evidence they brought forward. We'll have their reaction tonight on 13 News at 10. But for now, reporting live in Rockford for 13 Investigates, I'm William Ingalls. Brittany, back to you.
William, thank you. Snow flies again this evening. Chief Meteorologist Alex Kirshner tracks if we see any accumulation. Alex.
Good evening, Brittany. Like we've seen earlier on in the day, likely not getting any kind of accumulations, but this might make visibility a little harder to see across the state line, as well as keep the roads a little on the wet end. So just keep in mind, not looking at fully dry conditions through about 8 o'clock or so. This looks to be the last of the shower activity, as there's plenty of dry air coming in with this latest batch of snow flurries. You'll see that we'll continue to have the showery weather through about 8 o'clock, and then things get a little spotty after that, fully dry. By the time we get to tonight, we'll have a dry weekend around the corner. In the meantime, temperatures staying brisk as you plan out your evening. You look for conditions to stay just above freezing, and then a chilly night ahead. But then after that, we get back to spring conditions this weekend. I'll let you know what it feels like. April coming up in the forecast. For now, Brittany, back to you.
Alex, thanks. And make sure to download our 13 weather app on your smartphone. You can get access to live radar and weather alerts right in the palm of your hands. It's free in both the Apple and Google Play stores. Just search 13 WREX. A cornfield in Roscoe, it continues to be at the center of debate. On Tuesday, the Roscoe Village Board moved a housing project proposal forward, which could ultimately bring hundreds of families to the area. This despite a long list of concerns from neighbors and nearby school districts. 13 News' Cassandra Brettel unpacks what comes next. Cassandra.
Brittany, signs just like this one are all posted virtually at every corner in the southwest part of Roscoe. That's because, according to Nicole Stiplasek, the fight for the future of her neighborhood isn't over.
I was highly disappointed and just defeated.
Just 30 feet from Nicole Stiplasek's backyard is the proposed project site. The possibility of more than 130 multifamily housing units taking over what is now a cornfield is enough for her to rise from defeat to pursue change.
It's going to affect more than just the people on the street. So right now, yes, I have a personal interest in this not being in my backyard. But long term, what does that mean for like our property taxes for schools? Because, you know, eventually a new school is going to need to get built, and who's going to pay for that?
The developer is White Oak Home Builders, LLC. The founder, Josh Petrie, spoke with nearby school districts on how a surplus of families in Roscoe could impact classrooms. Despite district superintendent's opposition, it still passed, and now Stiplasek worries for her children's schools.
I personally moved from my previous home to this neighborhood to stay in my school district. That was very important for me, for my kids. Having an influx in students, are the schools going to have to quickly adapt to that? And then are we sacrificing the integrity of that school system to support the students that are coming.
She's not alone. The Save Our Subdivision Coalition is looking to form an alliance with trustees so their voices can be at the table for design choices. Josh Petrie tells 13 News in a statement, quote, White Oak home builders will follow the guidelines that are put in place by Roscoe Village, end quote. The Village Board will now go into a design review with Josh Petrie, and so no ground will be broken just yet. Now, I did ask Josh Petrie when the multifamily housing project would be completed. He did decline to answer. For 13 News, I'm Cassandra Brettel.